In this CarsGuide comparison test, we're pitching up two of Australia's most popular SUVs, the Toyota RAV4 and the all-new Hyundai Tucson. This should be very interesting. The Toyota RAV4 we've got here is the most in-demand car in the country, the cruiser hybrid all-wheel drive, and it's impressed us immensely since it launched way back in May 2019. A lot has happened since then. And up against it in this test is the all-new 4th generation Hyundai Tucson, an angular new look model that pushes the boundaries for styling, but also pricing. The model we have here is the Highlander grade with the entry-level petrol engine. That's right, it's petrol versus hybrid in this test. Why no hybrid version of the Hyundai, you might be wondering? Well, it's pretty simple. At the time we're filming this, there isn't one available. That might change over time, but we're testing these two vehicles against one another because they both represent high-spec models with plenty of equipment, and there's less than $500 splitting them. Now, we're gonna go through a lot in this video, and you're gonna see some time codes pop up on your screen. You'll also find chapter markers in the timeline below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are, don't forget you'll find a link to the full detailed written comparison test down there in the description, and that's where you'll also need to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done already, and hit that bell icon to keep up to date with all of our latest videos because we've got plenty more coming. Now, let's check out these two SUVs, shall we? If you're expecting plenty of value for money in these two SUVs, then you're not going to be disappointed, but you might be surprised by some of the differences in spec between these two vehicles. Both have LED headlights and LED daytime running lights, big alloy wheels, they're black 18s for the Toyota and 19s for the Hyundai, roof rails, LED tail lights, and rear spoilers. The Hyundai includes a full-size alloy spare wheel, but the Toyota gets a space saver. Inside, there's leather trim for both models, and while both have electric driver's seat adjust, the Toyota has manual adjust for the passenger, where the Hyundai has power front seats, including a clever button to allow more rear space. Both have front seat heating, but the Hyundai outdoes the Toyota with front seat cooling, rear seat heating, and a heated steering wheel. Both vehicles have electric tailgates, push-button start, and keyless entry. The Hyundai wins the media battle with a 10.25-inch touchscreen system, where the Toyota's touchscreen is an 8-inch unit. And while the Toyota has a part digital dashboard, this spec of Hyundai gets another 10.25-inch display for the driver, which is very tidy. Both have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus SatNav 2. There are plenty of USB ports in both models, and on the stereo front, the Hyundai gets a Bose system, while the Toyota has a JBL setup. Those are just some of the differences in spec. Read the full comprehensive breakdown in the comparison written review for more detail. We get it, you're gonna like the look of one of these SUVs more than the other. That's just how things go. But here's a bit of a look at some of the more detailed elements of each of the designs of these SUVs. The RAV4 may have been around for almost 2 years, but the look remains both stylish and strong, with angular finishes that give it a level of rugged appeal that people seemingly love. The white paint of our test car certainly helps out in that regard, with those black alloys standing out even more than usual. It's aging well, and while it might have been considered bold when it arrived in 2019, it's got nothing on the brash design of the all-new Tucson. The direction Hyundai has taken for this new generation model will have some admirers, but there will equally be some that find it too aggressive and sharp. The crease lines in the doors might not be too car park friendly, but the lighting signatures front and rear are crisp and interesting. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Which one of these do you like the look of more? And that's just for the exterior design, because next we're going to take a look inside each of the cabins of these SUVs. The interior of the RAV4 Cruiser, well, it's just not quite as special as what you're getting in that Tucson Highlander. It doesn't feel anywhere near as luxurious or prestigious, and if that matters to you, well, the decision might already be made, but there are still some things that we love about the RAV4 and always have of this generation model, like those rubberized dials here and the rubberized grip handles on the doors. and these little shelves that run across the dashboard on both sides. It just feels really adventurous and rugged and made for a purpose, and we love it for that. But it doesn't have those luxury touches that you're finding in newer vehicles like the Hyundai. Maybe there'll be an update at some point which will address that, but there are some things that we think could still be improved, like the media screen. It's an 8-inch touchscreen unit, which is small by current standards. But I do like the fact that you've still got knobs and buttons down the side to make it easy to jump between menus and adjust things quickly on the go. You don't just have to go through a touchscreen, which is good. There is a part digital dashboard. Newer cars, are having full digital dashboards, so I'm surprised to see that we still haven't seen that in a RAV4. It's a technologically advanced car in so many other ways. It's kind of a little bit of a disappointment that we don't have that just yet. Also, not loving the fact that the sunroof in here is just the front part. Like most modern mid-size SUVs have panoramic roofs like the Tucson, which goes all the way to the back, and that does offer, well, a little bit of a letdown for those who are after that luxury experience. But if you're not, if you're just after a really rugged, capable, comfortable family SUV, it could be right for you. There's also some good storage options. Bottle holders in the doors, pair of big cup holders between the seats, wireless phone charger underneath, the climate control, and a center console bin, which has 2 USB ports in there and one there as well. One thing I will say though, in the Tucson you get the really clever electric adjust seats for the passenger seat. In the RAV4, the passenger seat is set way too high, so you sort of find yourself almost like you're sitting on a stool. All right, let's check out the back seat. The back seat space in the RAV4 compared to the Tucson isn't quite as accommodating, and that's saying something because this is quite a roomy back seat. This seat's set for me, 182 centimeters, 6 foot tall. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of leg room, not quite as much as the Tucson though. Good foot room and good headroom as well. There's a nice flat-ish floor in the back as well, and you can fit 3 across at a squeeze if you need to. If you've got kids, there are dual ISOFIX anchor points and 3 top tether points, same as the Tucson. And same as the Tucson, you also get a set of rear directional air vents. You've got 2 USB ports down there, but only 1 map pocket in here behind the passenger seat. And you've got bottle holders in the doors, a flip down armrest with cup holders, so it's pretty much on par, but just not quite as roomy. And I have to say, not quite as special feeling either, because this one in cruiser spec doesn't have a rear heated seat like you get in the Highlander version of the Tucson. Talk about a massive change compared to its predecessor. The interior of the Hyundai Tucson, the new generation model, is completely different. It feels much more mature, much more modern, much more sophisticated, and importantly for a lot of buyers, a lot more luxurious too. And a lot of that comes down to A, the design, which is very soft and supple and sort of swoops around you, and B, the quality of the materials. So in this Highlander grade, obviously you've got this lovely perforated leather, and these seats are very comfortable too. Plus there's some nice trim across the top of the dashboard, these nice character lines that run down, sort of draw your eye to this massive screen, and just the rest of the materials look and feel really good too. I love the fact that in this high-spec model you get these electric adjust seats, so you can slide this passenger seat forward or backwards and give the people in the back a bit more legroom, and it's almost like a limousine experience back there. I'll show you in a sec. But in terms of storage, in here, things are very well sorted. You've got big bottle holders in the doors, a pair of cup holders between the seats, a nice deep storage section in front of the gear selector, and in this spec with a wireless charger, plus another little caddy next to that. A couple of USB ports there. You've got a nice covered center console bin here. And as I said, perforated seats because you get heated seats, cooled seats, and a heated steering wheel in this grade as well. And you might be curious about that digital display for the driver. We thought that it might catch the sun depending on which direction you're driving, but so far, so good. It works really well. It's a beautiful place up front, so let's check out the back. backseat experience in the Tucson is excellent. Now, let's talk space first. This seat is set for me 182 centimeters or 6 feet tall, and you can see just how much room I've got. Plenty of knee room, lots of toe room, and there's heaps of headroom as well. The new Tucson is considerably larger than the last one, and you can really feel that inside the cabin. There's a nice flat floor as well, so if you do need to fit 3 adults across, you can. It'll be squishy, but it's possible. There are a nice amount of really thoughtful touches in the back here. You've got these mesh pockets on the back for storing iPads and stuff. That's a nice hard material, so it shouldn't suffer from little kids' feet and shoes if you're worried about that. There's also rear seat air vents. There's a pair of USB ports down there. There's a flip down armrest with cup holders, and you'll find bottle holders in the doors as well. It's a really, really nice place back here, and the seat comfort's really good too. These may be family SUVs in terms of their shape and size and practicality, but these also appeal to different types of buyers, including singles and couples. So we've brought along some typical luggage that you might see in each of those scenarios. Now, let's take a look at how they compare. As you can see on screen, both of these models fit all 3 suitcases and a pram. Next up, we'll take a look under the bonnet. It's a pretty different story for the powertrains in use here. The Toyota is a high-tech offering with a petrol engine, electric motors, a battery pack, and this particular model also has all-wheel drive. For the Tucson, well, as you see it here under all that technological and sculpted skin, it's just a basic petrol engine and a 6-speed automatic transmission. The Hyundai's 2-litre multi-point injected 4-cylinder is hardly technologically advanced, and a 6-speed auto, nothing new there either. The Toyota's hybrid system manages to mix battery electric driving and petrol power to give the best of both worlds. You might notice there's no torque output listed here. Toyota doesn't offer one, but it's plenty, trust us. If you want a bit more from your Tucson, there are turbocharged diesel and petrol versions available, both of which are also fitted with all-wheel drive and higher price tags. And that's the reason we've got this petrol front-wheel drive Tucson here. It's because it competes closest to its equivalent spec RAV4, just happens to be a hybrid on that count. Now, enough of that, let's go for a drive. Maybe you're interested in a hybrid car, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just here because you want to see how the RAV4 compares to the Tucson in terms of the drive experience. They're very different, I have to say. The RAV4 is a little bit firmer, a little bit sharper, and also, well, a little bit noisier. There's that 4-cylinder engine, which it's an Atkinson cycle engine, and they can be quite noisy as it is. But as it's dipping in and out of battery or petrol mode, you can hear it quite audibly. It's not as hushed as you might expect, at least when you're not in EV mode. Then when you are in EV mode, it's pretty quiet and scoots along without too much fuss. That all might sound like gobbledygook to you. If you're not interested in hybrid tech, then let's talk about some of the other drive experience elements, like the steering, which is excellent in the RAV4. It's light, it's accurate, it's predictable, and it's fun as well. And while the ride is a little bit firmer because the chassis just feels a little tighter all around in this RAV4 compared to the Tucson, I really think that it's a good compromise between comfort and control, especially in urban driving like we've been doing today. But also, if you do find yourself on a twisty mountain road, you're going to find yourself having more fun than you'd expect in a RAV4 because it does know how to carve a corner or two. Because it's not a conventional drive experience in a hybrid, you do have to think about braking distances and brake pedal feel in particular, because the brake pedal feel in this RAV4 does have a real grab to it, but also it's got a strange feel through the pedal. I don't personally like it. I don't ever like driving hybrids when it comes to braking, but obviously there is that regenerative braking aspect to the drive experience, so it's constantly grabbing a bit of lost energy that would have been disappearing into nothingness if you didn't have regenerative braking, but it captures that, feeds it back to the battery and adds to your electric range. And what all that means is that it helps pull down your fuel consumption, and in the real world, it really works well. Overall, I think the drive experience in the RAV4 is going to suit someone who wants a little bit more, I guess, agility and involvement from their drive than those in the Tucson, because it just has a more connected feel to the road, and I like it. The drive experience in the Tucson has come a long way over the years. I never drove the first generation version of this SUV, but I did drive an iX35 a few times, and the last gen Tucson as well, which had this real sharp edge to it, like it was trying to be a sports car. It had a firm ride, it had heavy steering, and it was all about trying to appeal to the driver. But I think Hyundai's actually done a better job of appealing to the driver with this new generation model, which is soft and supple and steers easily and has a nice ride. It's just a completely different car. It feels much more sophisticated. Let's talk a little bit more about that steering. I don't love it. It doesn't have amazing feel or anything, but it does turn really easily, and that makes it feel like a breeze to drive. And if you're after a really easy experience, that might be perfect for you. And then there's the suspension, which is a lot softer than you might expect. It just glides along and doesn't really dip into bumps or get upset by lumpy sections of road, but when you hit a sharp edge like this speed hump, you can feel it. It still sort of has a firm edge to it. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's that 2-litre engine and 6-speed automatic transmission. It's not a modern powertrain. Sure, they might have tweaked the engine, and the 6-speed auto's probably been adjusted for better response and also probably better calibration, but it's not a modern powertrain by any stretch of the imagination, and it's kind of disappointing to see Hyundai offer such a huge leap forward in so many other ways with this new car and then persist with a 4-cylinder petrol. Now let's talk about that engine a little bit more. The response is okay. If you have a family of 4 and a boot full of luggage, you're going to find that this is going to feel a little bit underdone in terms of power and torque. It's not fast, not by any stretch, but it does get along well enough. And if you're a single or you drive on your own a lot, then the powertrain is going to be perfectly fine. I've driven it for hundreds of kilometers over the last few days, and both in town and out of town, I haven't had any real issue driving it by myself without anything else in the car. But if you load it up, it's going to feel a little bit overloaded. If you're not in the market for a hybrid, if you don't really care about hybrid tech, then you're going to probably think, well, if the 2-litre's no good, what else is there for me? And thankfully there are other options. There's a 1.6 turbo petrol and a 2-litre turbo diesel, and you can't get a diesel in the RAV4, so that might be enough to sway you that way. Just factor in the cost, because it's much more expensive. Being a conventional car, it does have decent brake pedal feel. It's not too grabby, and it doesn't have any regenerative technology as part of this car, but it does a good job, pulls up straight and true and without much fuss whatsoever. On the whole, I'm impressed. It's more premium feeling than the last generation model. It's just let down by an engine and transmission that don't really feel well matched to this new generation car. There's a significant difference between these two vehicles when it comes to official combined cycle fuel consumption figures. Obviously, hybrid technology has a massive advantage when it comes to on-paper fuel consumption, but what about when it comes to the real world? Well, we tested these vehicles across a mix of driving, including highway, urban, country road and twisty stuff as well. And you can see on your screen the figures that we achieved at the pump after our test. Next, it's time to look at the safety specs. Whether you're shopping for a family of 5 or just yourself, safety inclusions are crucial. Thankfully, both of these models have a lot of the tech covered. ANCAP gave the RAV4 a 5-star rating in 2019, while the Tucson has not been tested at the time of filming. Both have auto emergency braking that works at city and highway speeds with pedestrian and cyclist detection too. There are lane keeping systems for both models, and the Tucson includes junction turning assist as well. Both cars have blind spot monitoring, and while both have rear cross traffic alert systems, the Hyundai has a parking collision avoidance system and auto braking when the car's in reverse. Each has driver attention monitoring, and the Hyundai also scores forward vehicle move-off alert. Plus, this grade of Tucson has rear occupant alert, and both models have a surround view camera as well. Both have front and rear parking sensors and 7 airbags. Each has dual front side, and full-length side curtain coverage, while the RAV4 has driver knee protection, and the Tucson has a center front airbag to prevent head collisions. These two are competitive when it comes to ownership promise. The RAV4 comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which extends out to 7 years for the powertrain if you maintain logbook service history. And the battery pack is backed by a 10-year warranty, so long as you have it checked by Toyota's team annually. Hyundai's warranty is also 5 years and unlimited Ks, but without any other stipulations or extensions. Both are covered by cap price servicing. There's 5 years or 75,000 Ks for the Toyota, but with Hyundai, you get the choice of lifetime cap price maintenance pay-as-you-go, or you can bundle a pre-purchase pack into your finance payments. Intervals for the 2-litre engine are 12 months or 15,000 Ks, the same as the Toyota. But the Toyota is very cheap to maintain for that 5-year period. You have to pay for roadside assistance with Toyota, while Hyundai offers up to 10 years free roadside assist, so long as you service your car at their workshops. The Hyundai offers a very compelling long-term ownership proposition, but you can't ignore that the service prices and the extendable warranty for the Toyota are pretty appealing as well. Do these sorts of things factor into your purchase decision when it comes to choosing a new car? Tell us in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. Which of these two SUVs is the better choice then? Well, you'll have to go to our full detailed written comparison test, and you can do that by hitting that pop-out at the top of your screen. That'll take you to the full review where you can see how both of these SUVs scored. But if your preference is for petrol-electric motoring and you want something that is tried and tested, well, the RAV4 Hybrid might be the exactly right car for you. It does have a more conservative styling, but it's got some serious credentials behind it. But if you want something that stands out a little bit more from the pack and, well, it's more daring and maybe even a lot more luxurious inside, then the Hyundai Tucson could be the choice for you. Tell us what you think though in the comments section below. Which one of these two SUVs would you choose? We'd love to hear from you. Or would you choose something completely different? Let us know that as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all of our latest videos. Thanks for watching.